artists to make bank.
How is your relationship with Zari, considering that she dates young?
These are accessories. They do not make...
Slap the guy.
Yo, what's up? My name is Ted Josiah.
Mashallah.
I'm watching Pop Culture with Adhiambo with a Y.
To get Change Your Thinking Skizatune, dial star 811 star 961 hash.
When you change the quality of your thinking, you change the quality of your life. Sometimes instantly, just as positive words can make someone calm, smile or laugh, your thoughts will react to the world in real time. So, change the quality of your thinking.
Dial star 811 star 961 hash. Star 811 star 961 hash.
Good afternoon. It is the 12th of September. The year is 2022. This is KBC Lunchtime News. Just a few hours to the inauguration ceremony of the 5th President of this Republic of Kenya. And as KBC, we are covering that for you. We will be beginning in Kasarani, where our reporters are on standby to give us a live update on that. I'm Nissie Imano. Welcome to the bulletin. Irene Chuma, if you can hear me.
Nissie, good afternoon. A sunny day in the capital. We hope this weather continues through to tomorrow. This, as we come to you live from the Mo International Sports Center, Kasarani, where we'll be having the swearing-in ceremony of President-elect William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua in an event that is expected to take place between 10 and 2 p.m. according to the Constitution. But all the same, we here at KBC Channel 1 will be pitching camp from this end, from the early morning hours, to bring our viewers unmatched coverage. And unlike the previous days that have been here, Nissie, to witness the preparations of the swearing-in ceremony of President-elect William Ruto and his deputy, today the stadium is more beautiful compared to the other days. The flags have been put in almost each and every place, and you could notice the colors green, white, red and black, and also the seats are well cleaned. Right now, the final touches that are taking place are probably on the higher floor of the stadium, where we can see there are those who have been given the job to clean this area ahead of the swearing-in ceremony, which will take place tomorrow. During the morning hours, Nissie, we saw the military drills. The military were here and they showcased what they know best. This as they also expect to climax their events with the 21 gun salute, which is a tradition for any event for the country where we are going to have new presidents in office, the swearing-in ceremony. And remember, Nissie, it is not the only event that we normally have the 21 gun salute, but also when a visiting president or a prime minister visits the country, we have 21 gun salute. Tomorrow we're expecting thousands of Kenyans to turn up here in numbers to witness this historic event. And besides that, there will be other dignitaries who have been invited from other countries. And of course, we are expecting, and Kenyans will be keenly watching these leaders from the East African community, ones that have been working closely with Kenya to come and witness this historic event as Kenya puts to office the 5th president of the country, and one that will take the country through for the next 5 years. So what other difference do we expect to see, Nissie, from what we have been witnessing in the 2013 and 2017 swearing-in ceremony? Those 2 years are when we witnessed 2 other events that we had a swearing-in ceremony from the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani. And Nissie, earlier on in the week when the preparations were kicking off, one of the representatives from the Kenya Kwanza team in the assumption of the office of the president, and that is Wasingishu woman representative Gladys Boshelei, said that unlike the previous events where we didn't have the signature display, this time round we'll have the signature display of President-elect, who will be the president of the country together with the deputy, and these will be displayed on the screens from this stadia. And also another thing that we're expecting to be quite different from the past, the number of people who are expected to show up from this end, and also the budget factor. It was noted to us that this time round the president-elect asked the committee to work on a minimal budget, considering that the country is going through tough times and there is no need of putting a budget that is going to worsen the situation in the country. This even as the president-elect yesterday announced that he will be lowering the food prices once he assumes office, and that is one thing that Kenyans will be looking up to. It has been a tough time for the country. And also one other thing that will be different this time round, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, Nissie, will be bringing exclusive coverage from the Kasarani area. This will be at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani. And a few steps from where I'm standing is where we'll be having the swearing-in event. This is where President-elect and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua will be taking oath of office. And there are a number of religious leaders who have made their way here. They are currently conducting prayers from the podium, where we're expecting dignitaries to take seat during the swearing-in ceremony. And also the president-elect William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua will be seated from this end. The red carpet is in place and it's a colorful area, Nissie. All of us are looking forward to that event tomorrow. Back to you, Nissie.
Indeed, that is our reporter, Irene Mchuma Odim, who is currently at Kasarani, and of course she's following up on the preparations for the inauguration ceremony that will happen there in a couple of hours. And as she has said, KBC will be bringing that to you exclusively. So keep it here for that and so much more. But thank you for joining us for Lunchtime News. We will be moving on to the next story. All right, my director tells me we need to take a break, but we will be back. Please keep it here for a lot more.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Father, I don't really like that lady. Don't let her stay here with us. I can see that she wants to marry you and replace my mother.
I thought they would lock you up for a few decades. Hey!
You're the one who gave me the idea. You really scared me.
And you, every time I see you gossiping. Glad I didn't marry you.
Your mother isn't coming back.
Why not? Didn't you say as long as that lantern keeps burning, Mother will come back one day?
The flame went out.
What happened, Father? Did Tanner not get over?
Enough.
Aya, ile mshtuko nikashindwa, watu wamekata singo.
Kwa nini analeta mimi shule? I want us to cooperate together.
Cooperation ni ile ya serikali.
Sio hiyo unamaanisha.
Mimi ndio mwalimu ama ni wewe?
Changanya mimi Monday, Jumatatu na Tembe. Tofauti na gani?
Hii ni hot towel mate tulijifundishwa. Hiyo nani alikwambia ndio hot towel?
Hello there. Good boys gone bad.
Eric Omondi has evolved from being a comedian to now being the king clout chaser.
How does a gospel artist make money?
Jaguar wet again.
Anaweza kuwa celeb, anaweza kuwa na followers, but it's a time for artists to make bank.
Yes. How is your relationship with Zari, considering that she dates young?
These are accessories. They do not make...
Slap the guy.
Yo, what's up? My name is Ted Josiah.
How much?
I'm watching Pop Culture with Adhiambo with a Y.
Welcome back. This is Lunchtime News. We are live here at the Broadcasting House. We are also live on Facebook and on YouTube at KBC Channel 1. Now moving on, a somber mood has engulfed Sigalagala village in Ikolomani constituency following the death of two men aged 34 and 32 who died in a mine. One of the miners had made a distress call due to a lack of oxygen, but when his colleague went to his rescue, both perished due to lack of oxygen. The bodies of the two have been moved to the mortuary at Mukumu Mission Hospital. Funeral arrangements are underway.
Family and friends of the deceased could not contain themselves. This horrific incident happened shortly after the 34-year-old Boniface Otunga returned to the mine to save his colleague who was overwhelmed due to lack of oxygen.
Tulipata simu ya kwamba watu wamekabwa na hewa ndani ya shimo, hewa chafu. So watu waliokuwa kwa shimo walitoka kule mbele wakaja kwenye shaft, ile shimo ambayo inaenda chini, na wakatoka kule kwa tunnel, kwa hadit ambayo tunaita kwa lugha ya Kimombo kama tunnel. Sasa katika hiyo hali walikuwa wamesahau mawe, wale wenda zao wakaamua kwenda kuchukua yale mawe. Katika hali ya kufata hayo mawe ndio hewa ikawakaba, alafu wakafa.
Sasa mimi niko kwa kanisa, sijui kama amefika kwa mlango. Akaniambia mtoto wako Jaga, hakuna. Nilisutuka, nilishindwa hata kutembea. Kwa hali hiyo, nimesema yote ni ya Mungu, hakuna mtu mwenye alimuua. Amekufa kwa sababu yeye ni mwanamume, alikuwa anatafutia watoto yake na mke wake. Siwezi laumu mtu.
Miners in the area, led by Patrick Mukule, have called on President-elect William Ruto to ensure that he completes the mining factory in the area, as well as help them secure modern equipment to avert the many accidents that continue to plague the miners.
Naomba sasa serikali ambayo imechaguliwa mradi wajaribu watekeleze ahadi ambazo wametupa.
Edwin Austin for Lunchtime News.
In other news, 7 applicants in Kisii County are seeking to be elected as County Assembly Speaker. They include a budding 22-year-old lawyer, Joshua Momanyi. Momanyi, who runs a youth organization in the county, has pledged to usher in fresh leadership devoid of squabbles and scandals if elected Speaker. He noted that clan-based decisions and negative political influence will not be entertained if he is given the mandate to lead the county assembly.
We want to change our county assembly, not to be a member county assembly centered institution. but a people-centered institution. This has brought to attention by the previous county assembly scandals, which have been marred by violence, thus not taking into interest of the people. So we want to change it, and we want to bring and harmonize this institution so that we can achieve development. We can legislate good laws which shall be well to a common mwananchi. Kwa mtu wa Kisii, that trader in the town, that trader in the market, huko kama ni Ekenyoru, kama ni Magena, the laws can be applicable. Not that we fight and then we pass the laws which are subjected to people, leading them to go to be drained financially.
And Kenyan exporters are staring at losses due to cargo clearance challenges at the Malaba one-stop border post that has resulted to a 20-kilometer traffic snarl-up of outbound trucks. According to truck drivers, Kenya Revenue Authority scanners broke down, resulting to delays in cargo clearance of goods destined for neighboring countries.
Traffic is building up at Malaba one-stop border post along the Kenya-Uganda border due to slow clearance process. The snarl-up has stretched 20 kilometers in Kenya.
Kama saa hizi jamu tumeingia jana jioni. Na tujajua ile shida, manake naona magari navuka lakini mengine hayapangi foreni. Lakini sisi wenye kupanga foreni hapa saa hizi hapa kuvuka, tutavuka kule ngambo ile. Muda wa saa 2 jioni mahali tuko hapo saa hizi. Sasa shida ya dereva sijui mbona shida iko wapi. Manake dereva ndiye ambaye anachangia uchumi pakubwa katika taifa hili. Sababu kila kitu, hata sahani yoyote ya chakula inaenda kwa meza. Hata kwa hawa viongozi ni dereva.
According to truck drivers, cargo clearance scanners at Malaba one-stop border post malfunctioned, resulting to manual clearance that has slowed the process.
Kule Malaba ni Malaba maana yana clearance ndio shida, inaenda pole pole. Alafu wakati mwingine hiyo sensa ya kule Uganda inaweza kama mahali kakataa. Hiyo ndio shida tuko nayo hapo Kenya.
The truck drivers want the scanners at the one-stop border point replaced, noting that last month it failed, resulting in traffic stretching 45 kilometers.
Kwa hii serikali mpya inaweza kuomba shida kama hii tatuliwe. Sisi tulikuja hapa tunakuja na kufuka. Hiyo ndio inaweza kuwa raha yetu.
Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Terry Njenga.
Moving on, former Wiper Party nominated Member of Parliament Bishop Robert Mutemi is urging the incoming government to serve all Kenyans equally. Bishop Mutemi, who was speaking at Waita Prison in Mwingi, Kitui County, where he joined his fellow clergy in visiting inmates, also urged Kenyans to support the new leadership.
Natoa wito wa watu wote waliokuwa wanampiga na watu walikuwa wanamsapoti. Sote sasa sisi ni watu wa Kenya na kuna mtu ambaye si wa Kenya. Kwa hivyo sasa tuache mambo ya marubano, tuache mambo ya matusi, tuanze kufanya kazi kama watu wa Kenya. Kwa hivyo sasa sisi tujivunie kuwa wana Kenya sisi sote. Na hata rais wangu ambao nampenda, ambaye amepewa nafasi sasa, namuuliza kwa heshima na hekima, wakati anatengeneza serikali aangalie wana Kenya ambao wanaweza.
All right, we now want to cross over to Mombasa County, where our reporter Michael Mwandiga will be joining us with an update. Michael Mwandiga, good afternoon. If you can hear me, kindly, what is the latest in Mombasa County?
Live from Mombasa County. We are at the CBD in Mombasa County. Remember, we are just some few hours as we head to the inauguration of the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya. And I'm just here in the streets just to join the residents of Mombasa County to give us their reactions and their expectations as the D-Day comes tomorrow. Ndugu niambie kwa majina unaitwa nani na kesho serikali awamu ya 5 inaingia uongozini. Labda matarajio yenu ni gani nyinyi kama wananchi wa Kenya? Utaanza na majina afuta tizama kamera.
Asante, kwa majina naitwa Josephat Msiongo.
kulingana na matarajio kesho baada ya Mheshimiwa Rais the 5th President kuapishwa, ni kwamba ninatarajia kuona akitengeneza serikali ya kitaifa, serikali ambayo itahusisha kila Mkenya, kabila zote na jinsia zote na kanisa zote, ama madhehebu yote pasipo kuangalia ukabila. Kisha jambo la pili, ninatarajia kuona kwamba bei ya vitu muhimu vikipungua kama vile unga, sukari na mambo mengine kama hayo. Na la mwisho kabisa, natarajia kuona kwamba na vile alivyosema jana akiwa kule Meru kwamba is going to deal with the cartels, kwa sababu economy of this country has been frustrated by the cartels. So if he's going to deal with the cartels, then I will be a very happy Kenyan citizen, and I will celebrate the next 5 years that we are going to be together with the Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto. Asante sana.
Okay, thank you so much for your sentiments. Ndugu karibu, kwa majina naitwa nani, utakuwa unatazama kamera pale. Matarajio yako ni gani? Kesho serikali ya awamu ya 5 inaingia. Nyinyi kama wakazi hapa Mombasa, matarajio makubwa ni gani? Na serikali inapoingia ameahidi vitu vingi. Tupe hisia zako.
Asante sana. Kwa majina naitwa Anton. Kitu cha kwanza natarajia ni rais anaoingia kesho alete umoja. Kitu ya kwanza tunataka kuona pia amenyoosha mkono, amemnyoshea mwenzake, wamesalimiana na Kenya iwe moja, tuendelee mbele. Hatutaki mambo ya siasa zimeisha, mambo iendelee. La pili, mambo ya chakula ziko juu, tunatarajia mambo ya bei itakuja chini. Kuna vitu waliahidi kama mambo ya watu wako kwa CRB, watawasaidia wale ambao watu wamelemewa na maroni zile wamechukua, watawasaidia watoke. Tunatarajia mambo kama stima ziende chini. Yeye mwenyewe alisema anahusika na watu wa chini, anasema ni chini kwenda juu. Kwa hivyo tunatarajia serikali ni yetu sasa, si wakubwa vile alituahidi, ni wananchi chini wasaidiwe na mikopo, wafanye kazi, Kenya iendelee mbele. Hiyo ndio mambo tunatarajia, na sana sana tunataka amani kwa kila mmoja.
Naam, shukrani sana kaka. Nitakuwa pia naweza kuchukua mwingine za kunipatia tu maoni yake. Kaka, unaitwa nani? Na labda tueleze tu hisia zako ni gani? Awamu ya 5 ama serikali ya awamu ya 5 kesho inaingia wakiwa na ahadi nyingi kwa Wakenya. Wakenya kwa sasa ni kwamba wanataraji kwamba serikali imeingia. Nini hasa kwa sisi wananchi wa chini?
Asante sana. Kwa majina ni Douglas, mkaaji wa hapa bunge la wananchi Mombasa. Mimi natarajia mheshimiwa alitupromise mambo mengi. Na kitu ya kwanza jenye kimetusumbua sana ni mambo na living cost. Hii ikishuka chini, hata mimi mwenyewe sikumpigia, nitarudi huko nitampigia. Kitu kingine ya tatu ni mambo na economy. Economy yetu jana nilimuona vizuri, anakuja vizuri. Kosi jana alikuwa Meru, akasema cash crop, atashughulikia majani chai, atashughulikia kahawa, atashughulikia na miraa. Akishughulikia hiyo ni economy ya county ya Meru itainuka. Pia vile vile Mombasa nao tunamwongojea, atakuwa hapa Tuesday, Thursday. Nao pia boti na operation ya boti atalegesha na vijana tufanye kazi. La ingine ni serikali hii ya wadosi sasa. Kulingana na mheshimiwa William Ruto, hii serikali si ya wadosi. Hii serikali ni ya mtu wa bodaboda na mtu wa mama mboga. Kwa hivyo tunatarajia hata sisi ingewezekana katika Mombasa County hii bunge la wananchi, kwa sababu ni serikali ya wanyonge, hajukue mtu mmoja, kwa sababu serikali ya watu wadogo. Tunatarajia hiyo na sisi ndio tutajifili tuko kwa serikali. Kwa hayo vile jana tuliona hata nchi za nje zilitukomendi juzi, kwa sababu ya tumegrow kisiasa. Siasa imeisha na tufanye kazi na tuchenge nchi yetu ya Kenya. Hii nchi ni yetu, si yao, ni yetu, tutaijenga. Na lakini ni hivyo tu, chakula kikirudi chini itakuwa ni vizuri sana. Na mheshimiwa tunamuombea kila heri kwa ofisi mpya na uongozi mpya. Thank you.
Sawa, shukrani sana, wameweza kutoa hisia zao kai, lakini watu ni wengi pia vile vile kuweza kutoa hisia zao. Na hapa pia kuna kaka, karibu, niambie tu majina yako, unaitwa nani na unatarajia nini hapo kesho wakati rais anaapishwa? Ameweza kutoa ahadi nyingi, pia vile vile ameahidi kwamba maisha atahakikisha kwamba maisha yasikue ghali kidogo, mtu aweze kujimudu. Alafu pia vile vile akazungumzia masuala ya uwiano kwa Wakenya wote, na kawataka wale wenye ambao pia katika mrengo mwingine ambao walishindwa ama hawakukubaliana na mateka, lakini pia Kenya ni moja na tuendelee mbele. Karibu.
Asante sana mheshimiwa. Kwa majina naitwa Charles Ojuang. Mimi kwanza kabisa natarajia mheshimiwa Ruto jinsi ambavyo alishinda uchaguzi. Mimi napenda sana mambo ya sport. Ningependa sana atafute yule ambaye anaelewa sport, arudishe vijana wetu viwanjani, mpira uchezwe kiwanjani, sio kwa mahakama. Hiyo ndio nilikuwa nataka tuangalie, atafute yule ambaye anaelewa mpira, aweke pale ili tuendelee na mambo yetu ya sport kama kawaida. Pili, nataka vile alivyosema jana kwamba akiweka tu chini Biblia, aanze kudili na makateli. Tunajua kabisa wale ambao wametuumiza ni makateli. Kwa hivyo kama atadili na yeye, atadili na wao, mimi sina budi ya kumpenda Mheshimiwa Ruto. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa.
Sawa, shukrani. Na umegusia swala zima, swala la spoti. Nakumbuka kwamba alielezea rais mteule alielezea kwamba atakuwa anahakikisha kwamba vijana wanakuwa na nafasi za ajira. Michezo pia ni nyanja ambayo pia inatoa ajira nyingi. Labda kwako wewe, labda zipo michezo mingi. Ukiangalia kwamba timu ya taifa Harambee Stars, timu ya taifa ya kina dada Harambee Starlets, iko michezo ya taekwondo, michezo ya ndondi. Kenya iliwahi kufanya vizuri, kikumbuka kina Ibrahim Bilali, kina Mohamed Bilali, timu ya Harambee Stars. Labda tu kwa kifupi ongezea la zaidi kuhusiana na sport.
Asante sana mheshimiwa. Vile ambavyo umesema, industry ya mpira inaajiri watu wengi, na sasa kuna ukosefu wa kazi. Kwa hivyo tukitilia maanani katika mambo ya spoti, utapata vijana wengi sana wanakuwa absorbed katika spoti na tunapata ajira. Kwa hivyo tutafute ni wapi tulikosea, turudi tena kwa ule mstari ili turudi katika gurudumu letu la kusukuma nchi songa mbele kimchezo.
Sasa shukrani sana. Pia kuna kaka hapa karibu, tueleze tu kwa majina unaitwa nani, lakini pia kidogo ameona haya kwa kamera, lakini yupo kaka hapa. Kwa majina unaitwa nani na matarajio yako ni gani? Tazama kamera. Nakufikia.
Kwa majina naitwa Dickson Ndoro Makanga. Na tunafurahi sana President William Ruto ameteuliwa, manake alitupa ahadi nyingi. Jambo la kwanza ikiwa ni the Port of Mombasa. Tunaamini the Port of Mombasa belongs to us. I belong to Naivasha. So tunaomba aturegeshe port yetu ya Mombasa hapa Mombasa. Kitu ya pili, alipokuja Mombasa mara ya mwisho alituahidi mambo na open sky landing. Ya kuwa ndege mtalii ataka kuja Mombasa na kuja direct anashukia hapa Mombasa. Hoteli zinakuwa zinatumika hizi za Mombasa hapa. Au ndio masuala tunaomba yafanyiwe. Deal na Oma cartels, biashara ziwe sawa. Na pia tuangalie upande wa CRB. Wakitutoa kwa mambo na CRB, pia sisi tutakuwa tunaweza enda kwa benki na tukasaidiwa na mikopo pia. Ni hayo machache tu ndio tunaomba toka kwa tukufu William Samoei Arap Ruto, rais wetu wa Kenya.
Asante sana. Pia kuna kaka hapa pia ana maoni, pia tupatie kaka. Kwa sasa tuangazie, kuna masuala ya miundo msingi. Tungependa barabara pia zizidi. Labda wewe kama kijana ama katika ile bracket ya vijana, matarajio yako ni gani?
Kwa majina kwanza naitwa Julius Kavolonza. Mimi ni mkazi wa hapa Mombasa. Kitu ya kwanza, rais ambaye ni Ruto anayeenda kuingia. Akiingia nataka kwanza angalia upande wa vijana. Ukiangalia vijana wanapotoka hapa Kenya wanaenda nchi kama Saudia, wengi almost 90% wanaenda kule, kurudi huku wanarudi, wengine wanauliwa kule. Pia tunapenda rais akiingia ni ashughulikia masuala kama ni kazi, atafutia kazi hapa Kenya. Pia amesema atadili na makateli. Kuna maneno huku Mombasa ambayo kuna watu hizi kampuni za wakubwa hapa wengine walipi KRA, na ambapo sisi wananchi wa huku chini kama mimi kutoka 2013 mpaka wa sasa nalipa tax hapa Mombasa. Hiyo pesa nalipa tax, lakini sioni ikifanya kazi. Ukiangalia barabara zetu ni bovu, lakini pesa kujenga barabara ikitoka haijengi. Sasa tunapenda rais ni akiingia ashughulikie mambo ya barabara. Pia ni amani adumuishe. Hatutaki mambo ya visa za uofu. Unasikia wengine mapanga na katakata huko Mombasa. Mara ikikatakatwa wanaoshikwa hawahusiki, wanashikwa wapi? Sababu mtu anashikwa na akishikwa maneno anaishia pale.
Kwa hivyo ungependa aangazie pia masuala ya usalama wa mwananchi wa kawaida pia uweze kuzingatiwa.
Ningependa usalama kwa mwananchi wa kawaida ushughulikiwe. Alafu mimi cha muhimu sana tu ni kazi ifanywe. Bila alituahidi bottom up, nataka tuone hiyo bottom up yake. Sina lingine.
Sasa shukrani sana. Naona kuna kaka pia hapa aje tupatie maoni yake. Ndugu, tuambie unaitwa nani na wewe kama kijana matarajio yako ni gani, na Mkenya pia unaishi katika eneo la Pwani?
Kwa majina kwanza naitwa Daniel Odhiambo. Mimi ningependa kusema kwamba kesho Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto atakuwa anawekwa kama kiongozi wa Kenya. Yeye ndio tutakuwa tunamtizama kitu cha kwanza. Yeye ndio atakuwa uso wetu. Tunatarajia mengi kutoka kwake, tunatarajia amani kutoka Kenya. Na akiwa kama kiongozi pia wa UDA, hatutarajia kwamba sisi pia na Azimio ambaye tulibaki, haimaanisha kwamba sisi si wa Kenya. Sote ni wa Kenya na tuangalie sote kwa pamoja. Cha pili ni kuwa kuna shida unemployment. Unemployment rate is very high. Yeye kukua katika UDA haimaanishi kwamba sasa hawezi borrow some ideas from Azimio. Kuna some ideas ambazo watu Azimio walisema kama the revival of textile industries and some industries that were already dead, zikifufuliwa zitashukisha ile unemployment rate, angalau watu wengi na Wakenya wengi wataweza kupata kazi.
So, shukran sana. Those are their sentiments regarding tomorrow's big day as Kenyans wait for the 5th president to be inaugurated at Kasarani, that is in Nairobi. And from Mombasa County, they're just waiting and hoping for the best as the 5th government comes into place, and they are hoping that the coming regime is going to take into account all their interests, including unemployment, security, and uplifting of the living standard. That's all we have from Mombasa County, and back to you, Nissie, Imano, in the broadcasting house.
All right, thank you very much. That's Michael Mwandiga, a reporter in Mombasa County. He is bringing to us some of the expectations of the residents of Mombasa, touching on issues of insecurity, unemployment, equal distribution of opportunities and labor, and so much more. Away from that, moving on, a Form 3 student at Luciola High School, Kakamega County, has committed suicide after his girlfriend allegedly blocked him on her phone, cutting off any form of communication with him. The student's body was found hanging from the roof of their home latrine by his mother.
According to the student's father, Sylvester, his son started portraying strange behavior, including sending money through his phone to a number of his friends. It had been alleged that the student had inquired about various forms of committing suicide before taking the decision to hang himself.
Wanafunzi wengine sasa wanaambia kwa sasa hivi, ati huyo kijana alikuwa anatuhusianga tu kwa shule hivi. So rafiki yake akakuja hiyo Saturday kama niko na familia yangu yote hapa, akaanza kusema hata hii maneno ya Trevor kufanya hii sio ya papa yake, alikuwa na girlfriend kwa Facebook.
The late boy's father, however, is placing the blame on school administration for his son's action, saying they did not inform him about his child's changing behavior in school and offered no advice in dealing with the peer pressure.
Sasa hao watu wangekuwa wametuambia kwa mapema maneno ya girlfriend yake ya Facebook hii, tungekuwa pengine nimemkalisha kwa mtoto, ningekuwa nimesha mpea kwa mawaidha.
In other news, inmates serving various jail terms were treated to a rare event when a group of pastors and bishops from Mwingi paid them a visit on Sunday, donating food and essential items to them. Led by the chair, Reverend Stephen Mutisia, the inmates were encouraged to soldier on with life despite their current situation.
Tumeona wapendwa wetu wanaendelea vizuri, wanaendelea kurekebika, na kwangu ni kusema ya kwamba kwa wale ambao wako nje waendelee kuamini Mungu na kutembea katika njia za Bwana, maana hapa si mahali panzuri pakuwa, injapokuwa wanajikuta wakiwa mahali hapa, lakini atoa mwito kwamba tuendelee kumcha Mungu, ndio mwanzo wa hekima, ili tukaweze kuishi maisha ya kupendeza Mungu na tuepukane na kuishi mahali kama hapa.
We have inadequate of structures in this facility, like we lack a daycare where we can be able to take our children to school, and that's a major challenge to us, and we are praying that we will be able to get a daycare soon.
And motorists plying the Narok-Maimahiu-Bomet highway have been urged to be watchful on the road as people from the region are expected to make their journey to Kasarani Stadium ahead of the inauguration ceremony tomorrow.
County Commissioner Isaac Masinde, in the recent past, many grisly accidents have been witnessed along the highway due to ignorance by motorists and the poor weather. Masinde has urged the road users to follow the traffic regulations set and be on the lookout when approaching black spot areas like Ntulele, Dukamoja and Maimahiu areas.
Kesho tarehe 13 tutakuwa na uapisho wa the incoming president, His Excellency Honorable Dr. William Ruto. Kuna watu wengi kutoka Narok na kutoka sehemu za Bomet, Kisii watakuwa wanaelekea Nairobi. Nataka niombe wenye hiyo magari, drivers, wahakikishe kwamba tunafuata sheria za barabara, especially on Narok, Bomet, Maimahiu Road. Kwa sababu of late tumekuwa na lot of accidents kwa sababu ya barabara kuwa na magari mengi. Most of the drivers will be traveling leo usiku kuanzia masaa ya mchana na hata wengine wataenda mpaka usiku na kesho asubuhi. Nataka tu nichukue nafasi hii niwaambie kwamba wakuwe careful. The drivers, just be careful along the road.
Several traffic checks are said to be mounted at various points along the highway to ensure traffic rules are strictly adhered to.
Kama chairman wa county security team, the traffic police will be patrolling in the area right away from Murot up to Suswa, kuhakikisha kwamba magari yote yamefuata sheria barabarani. Nataka niombe drivers wahakikishe wana stick to the speed limit. Wasiendeshe kwa kasi, waendeshe kwa speed ile ya kadiri, na pia wakuwe waangalifu. Sana sana hizo sehemu za Imano ambapo last week tulikuwa na flooding kwa sababu ya mvua nyingi ambayo inanyesha upande wa Longonot na upande wa Naivasha.
For Lunchtime News, I am Victoria Nkatha.
Meanwhile, Queen Elizabeth's body will lie at St. Giles Cathedral for 24 hours starting today after a memorial service in the afternoon to allow mourners pay their last respect. The service will be attended by the royal family members, politicians and world leaders. Her body will afterwards lie in state for 4 days at the Westminster Hall, awaiting state funeral on Monday, September 19, 2022.
Monday, 19th September, has been declared a national bank holiday across the United Kingdom to allow mourners pay their last respect to Queen Elizabeth II and commemorate her reign. The Queen will lie in state for 4 days before her funeral at the Westminster Abbey, a period in which mourners will be allowed to view her coffin. Her last journey began on Sunday when her coffin was slowly driven to Holyrood House Palace. It will later process to St. Giles Cathedral later this afternoon for a service attended by the royal family, politicians and world leaders. The coffin will stay for 24 hours to allow members of the public pay their respect. On Tuesday, the coffin will be flown back to Buckingham Palace from Edinburgh Airport, accompanied by Princess Anne. It will then be taken to Westminster Hall on Wednesday afternoon, where it will lie in state for 4 days, beginning Thursday. Mourners wishing to pay their respects during this period have as well been warned to expect long queues. The state funeral on Monday will be followed by a procession from London to Windsor Castle. The Queen will be laid to rest at King George VII Memorial Chapel at Windsor. The new monarch, King Charles III, will visit Scotland, North Ireland and Wales, accompanied by Prime Minister Liz Truss ahead of the funeral. Heads of state from across the world have been invited to join members of the royal family to remember the life and service of the Queen. The royal family will further observe a 7-day period of mourning after the state funeral. For Lunchtime News, Efinya Kidi.
Moving on, the global challenge in managing solid waste is further compounded by plastics, most of which are not biodegradable. The menace that plastics are in the oceans, on land and in the air is fueled by rapid urbanization, changing consumption patterns and the growing middle class that use plastics on the go. Our reporter, Opicho Chemtai, explores the environmental pollution and health risk posed by haphazard dumping of plastics.
When Alexander Parks invented plastic in 1862 to assist humanity cope with consumption patterns, it was not envisaged that this discovery will become a bitter pill to swallow. Helen Dena, an environmentalist at Greenpeace Africa, says the dangers posed by careless disposal of plastic waste are immense.
When it rains, there's a lot of flooding, and plastic will block the drainage channels and the water channels. There's also microplastics, which these species are ingesting. And not just that, these species, most of us will enjoy, our fish.
The huge demand for plastic has triggered production at tremendous rates that have surpassed the rate at which it is being removed from the environment and recycled.
We only do 9% That then means a lot of this plastic will end up in the environment, in the marine ecosystem, and even, to our tables in the form of microplastic.
Dana suggests that end users need to adopt the 4 R's, that is reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover, to help curb the high uptake of plastic materials.
Look for other channels of packaging, delivery channels. They should also invest in refill and reuse models. So we don't actually have to keep on going to buy soda in a plastic bottle.
Besides degrading the environment, plastics strewn in the compound collect rainwater that provide habitats for mosquitoes, especially the Aedes mosquito that transmits dengue fever.
Are transmitted by mosquitoes that are mainly bred majorly in containers, and this happen especially in areas where water and the systems are not well connected, such that the population in that area have to keep their water inside homes. But even if you have to keep water in your house, cover.
Dr. Edith Limbaso, a senior research scientist in the Department of Virology at the Kenya Medical Research Institute, warns that to date, dengue fever has no vaccine.
Vaccine trials have been done, especially for dengue, but none of them has been successful, or if at all it has been successful, it's not yet here.
For Harriet, life has not been the same since she contracted dengue fever.
First, it started with joint pains and body fatigue and body weakness. It persisted, and in fact now I started getting headaches. Though the headaches were on and off, I would take painkillers, just self-medicate myself.
As a viral infection, dengue fever has no treatment, so patients have to rely only on management of symptoms associated with fever caused by the infection.
Doctor now put me on medication, but mostly the medication he put me on were pain relievers, because as you know, dengue fever does not have a particular treatment. In my perspective, I thought probably I could be having malaria.
This is one among the many cases of dengue fever. It is so unfortunate that a lot of people who have contracted it have no idea how to handle it. Dr. Esther Getambu explains the prevalence and impacts associated with dengue fever to humanity.
Your platelets can go down to the levels where you start to bleed. All right, bleed from you brush your teeth, you bleed, your nose starts to bleed, you start bleeding from the anal orifices. Dengue also can give you severe shock. You can present with shock. All right, you stand up, your blood pressure falls down, you also go down. And the intervention is just giving IV fluids, giving paracetamol, all right? Supportive treatment, feeding somebody, making sure that their blood pressure is up.
The saving grace for the human population is by ensuring that the habitats associated with the mosquito that spreads the virus are cleared.
That mosquito breeds in fresh water, and fresh water is in your house. In the bucket where you keep, in the bottles where you keep, in your septic, in your tank upstairs where you store the water.
Beyond the government policy on plastic waste and waste management, there is need for counties to develop affordable waste collection, recycling and composting. Even in areas demarcated for waste disposal, such as the Dandora dump site, dumping has to be controlled for the sake of those living nearby. It all narrows down to this. As it is, plastic is a great contributor of health problems, clogging of drainage system, and even it has affected aquatic lives. The question is, are we treating the plastic menace with the magnitude that it deserves? Opicho Chemtai for Channel 1 News.
Very insightful story there by Opicho Chamtai. It's a repeat of the plastic waste hazard that had already aired. Thank you, Picho, for that story. Now, moving on to business. South Africa's Eskom will reduce plant power cuts this week after sufficient progress was made in replenishing emergency generation reserves. Eskom's aging power stations run mostly on coal and are highly prone to faults, resulting in frequent outages, which constrain economic growth. Here are the details of this and other stories making headlines across the continent.
Having implemented cuts of up to 4,000 megawatts from Saturday morning to this morning, Eskom said it will reduce this to stage 3 cut of up to 3,000 megawatts until Tuesday morning. Thereafter, stage 2 will be implemented until Friday night. Stage 2 cuts means that homes and businesses without their own generators will not have power for 2 to 4 hours daily. Eskom says 2 electricity generation units returned to service overnight, with 11 units anticipated to return to service over the next 24 hours, helping to ease the capacity constraints. Elsewhere, Botswana has witnessed its first ever drop in fuel prices in 2022 to reflect falling in crude oil prices over the past 2 months. Brent crude averaged $97.7 per barrel in August, compared to an average of $105.12 a barrel in July. The fall in fuel prices was influenced mainly by fears of a possible global recession, which would weaken the global demand for oil. 4 straight increase in fuel prices in the country since December 2021 have primarily contributed to rising inflation, which reached a 13-year high of 14.30% in July. Finally, Senegal is seeking to boost the digital transformation of its companies with a new program called ITA. It was launched by Senegal's Agency for Development and Supervision of Small and Medium Business-Sized Enterprises, financed to a tune of $24 million, funded by the World Bank over a period of 4 years. The ESME component of the ITA program aims to enable 5,000 small and medium-sized enterprises to adapt more sophisticated technologies to improve their competitiveness with the COVID-19 crisis that has demonstrated the importance of digital tools. Senegal now wants to optimize the national market, particularly by accelerating its digital transformation. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Terry Njenga.
Meanwhile, human development has declined globally for the last 2 years, falling back to levels last seen in 2016 and reversing progress towards achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. This, according to a report by the United Nations Development Programme that notes that 9 out of 10 countries have fallen victim of a cycle of complex global crisis, from the COVID-19 pandemic to the war in Ukraine, which has seen uneven economic recoveries in countries. Here are the details on this and more in our corporate business roundup.
The United Nations Development Programme's Human Development Index, which measures a nation's progress, finds that human development has declined for 2 years running. Such a downturn hasn't been seen since the United Nations Development Programme began calculating its Human Development Index 32 years ago. This year's ranking shows that some countries are beginning to get back on their feet, while others remain mired in deepening crisis. The report shows that human development continued upwards even during the global financial crisis a decade ago, when millions of people lost their homes and jobs. The sharp drop began only in 2020 with the onset of the pandemic. These declines have exacerbated a growing sense of insecurity, mistrust, and polarization among populations, making it harder for countries to move forward and regain their losses towards achieving development goals. And finally, Ecobank Transnational Incorporated has appointed outgoing Absa Kenya CEO Jeremy Awori as Ade Ayeyemi's successor, who is retiring on attaining the age of 60. According to Ecobank Group Chairman Alain Nkonchu, Awori brings a wealth of experience, skills and industry know-how to the Pan-African institution. Ayeyemi expressed his gratitude for the opportunity to lead Ecobank, as he also expressed his commitment to a smooth transition and onboarding of his successor. Awori, on his part, noted that he looked forward to consolidating the transformation of Ecobank while innovating to create value for all of Ecobank's stakeholders. Ecobank has operations in 35 African countries with an asset base of 3.3 trillion shillings and more than 32 million customers across the continent. Nduta Mokami for Lunchtime News.
And in sports, the national rugby sevens team Shujaa finished 12th overall at the just concluded Rugby World Cup sevens after losing 26-19 to USA in the 11th place playoff at the Cape Town Stadium in South Africa. Meanwhile, Commonwealth Games champion Ferdinand Omanyala, finished third at the Memorial Borisa Hanskovica meeting at Zagreb in Croatia last night.
Here they come right now for the last time at the Rugby World Cup Sevens in beautiful Cape Town, South Africa.
Shujaa came into the match forecast to redeem themselves after losing to England 36-0 in the Challenge semi-finals. Vincent Onyala, Captain Nelson Oyo and Jeff Oluoch touched down for Kenya, while Lucas Lacamp, Malachi Isdale and Perry Baker scored tries for USA to hand them a narrow 26-19 victory. Kenya opened their campaign at the Rugby World Cup Sevens with a 19-0 win over Tonga before losing to Argentina in the round of 16. The Darmen McGrath Chargers humbled Scotland in the Challenge quarterfinals before losing to England in the Challenge semi-finals. Shujaa finished 16th overall at the 2018 tournament in San Francisco. Meanwhile, Commonwealth Games champion Ferdinand Omanyala finished third at the Memorial Borisa Hanskovica meeting in Zagreb, Croatia.
Right, but coming through is Bracey. Bracey's going to take this one. What a second half from Bracey. Marvin Bracey, like a rocket through the second half. Didn't get a fabulous start, but boy, oh boy, did he tear them to bits through the last 50 metres. 9.97 is confirmed from...
Belgium-Dutch driver Max Verstappen won the Formula One Italian Grand Prix to leave himself in touching distance of his second straight Formula One title. He claimed his first win at Monza and his fifth Grand Prix in a row after fighting from the 7th on the grid to finish Charles Leclerc on another difficult day for Ferrari. Verstappen is 116 points ahead of Leclerc in the driver's standings and can retain his crown in Singapore next month after winning his 11th race of the season, one he largely controlled despite being hit with a grid penalty on Friday.
Stand on the podium at Monza for the first time in his Formula One career.
Very lovely, mate. Great race at a
flag, but Red Bull and Max Verstappen won't mind that at all. It's another win on their seemingly unstoppable march to...
And Spanish teenager Carlos Alcaraz defeated Norway's Casper Ruud to win the 2022 US Open title in New York. The 19-year-old is the youngest men Grand Slam champion since Rafael Nadal won the French Open in 2005.
Carlos Alcaraz beat Casper Ruud in New York to win the first major title. Alcaraz won in sets of 6-4, 2-6, 7-6 and 6-3 in his first major final.
There it is.
The 19-year-old is the youngest man. Alcaraz won 3 epic 5-setters in a row to reach the finals. Ruud has now lost both of his 2 major finals in a row. He reached a first Grand Slam final at the French Open earlier this year, but was outclassed there by Nadal in a one-sided defeat. Casper Ruud is now the new world number 2 after the loss. Frederick Oluete for Channel 1 Sports.
And Italian soccer giants Juventus came from 2 goals down to draw 2-2 against Salernitana last night in the German Bundesliga. Union Berlin went top of the German Bundesliga for the first in their history after beating Cologne.
After winning narrowly against Cologne, Union leapfrogged Freiburg after their goalless draw with Borussia Mönchengladbach.
All right, one more story. 1 million women across 34 counties are to benefit from a partnership between BBOX and Unilever aimed at increasing adoption of clean energy in rural areas. Under the partnership, beneficiaries will be trained on the best energy practices. Phase 1 of the project is to be piloted in Homa Bay and Busia counties, then be expanded to the other 32 counties.
About 30% of the rural population in Kenya do not have access to electricity currently, demonstrating the urgent need for energy solutions in the country.
And I think there's a responsibility on corporates like ourselves to also use that scale for good.
To remedy this, B-Box, a platform providing access to essential products and services, and Sunlight, a detergent brand under Unilever, have partnered to accelerate the provision of clean energy access for households across Kenya.
And we're working hard together to make sure that we reach the last household to benefit from these more convenient, more healthy, cheaper solutions that we offer.
The partnership will drive combined marketing campaigns and mobilize agents with resources and training to promote clean energy solutions, as well as serve as new source of income for Unilever's retailer network, comprising of more than 50% female entrepreneurs who have so far signed up to partner under the project.
I'm extremely proud of Sunlight, especially for joining hands with B-Box to bring clean energy to many rural homes in Kenya, to empower thousands of women involved, and in the process, help to uplift the homes and communities at large, the communities that we operate in.
Beneficiaries will also be trained on best energy practice, including energy-saving solutions. Phase 1 of the 3-year program will be rolled out in Homa Bay and Busia County. Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
All right, at exactly 56 minutes past 1 p.m., we come to the end of Lunchtime News, but more news in our subsequent bulletins at 7 and at 9 p.m. We will be airing the live inauguration ceremony tomorrow exclusively here on KBC Channel 1, so stay tuned for that. I am Nissie Imano, and Wangeshi has been our sign language interpreter this afternoon. Good afternoon, enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Kate anajua kila kitu kuhusu issue ya Jackie. Hebu tazame tu vile alikuwa wasiwasi.
Mama, siwezi kusema ndo niliuliza.
Najua kwamba wewe ndo ulimteka nyara Jackie. Na sasa yuko huko ndani una wasiwasi hata usingizi upate.
Babako ataka kuwaona watu wako, lazima aone. Mbona nakisia kama ambaye uhusiano wako wewe na hii familia ya Dina unaelekea karibia mwisho?
Elimu na wanafunzi mpo. KBC Channel 1 inakutoa darasani na kukuleta jukwani ili upate kuaminika.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii.
Tayari kuwakariria shairi kwa kichwa.
Kuelimika.
Udhui gani ya lugha yanayojitokeza katika kauli hii ukirejelea mataifa mengi barani Afrika?
Na kisha uburudike.
Moja ni fahari yetu, baba, kina mama na watoto.
Sauti za njiwa tamu sana.
Sanaa ya Kiswahili, elimu na maarifa bila mipaka, kila Jumapili saa 7:30 papa hapa KBC Channel 1.
From back in the day, this particular festival has received some backlash, people wanting it to be banned, but it seems like Lady Luck is always on their side because now Octopizzo has just released volume 2 of his live band experience album.
Mini papa uliza winja, all black everything, Kilwanga ninja, money over everything, Jaber Bay winja.
Veteran Taarab singer Hadija Kopa, who's Zuchu's mom, at an interview mentioned that Zuchu is in no relationship with Diamond Platnumz. Like their relationship is simply boss and employee.
Berlin-based Kenyan songstress Alicia
Popat has released her first original single, Home, written and performed by her.
Hello, my name is Asha Sampath and welcome to this new edition of Business Africa, your magazine dedicated to the continent's business and economic news. As usual, you can win $150 in our Business Africa game. More details later, but first, today's top stories. In Guinea, the craft of weaving is passed down from father to son, a powerful tradition that has succeeded in becoming an economic bulwark against the risks of globalization.
Our grandparents started wearing this even before colonization, so it means we were already civilized when the settlers arrived. Yeah, we had hats, but also had shirts. It is the pride of Africa.
Creating mobile applications without exorbitant costs is possible in Nairobi thanks to innovative low-code solutions.
I actually ventured into no-coding during the period when Corona hit. Okay, so we were locked down in our houses. We didn't have anything to do.
Spotlight on Nigeria's agripreneurs, startups that intend to reduce unemployment.
We are thinking of making it big, being an international company, making sure our product gets to all the supermarkets in Nigeria first, before we can think about exporting to African countries and maybe the world at large.
In Guinea, weaving is one of the oldest trades on the continent that still resists time and globalization. In Labé, more than 300 kilometers from the Guinean capital, there are nowadays several practitioners who make made-in-Guinea loincloths called lepi. This local product is currently very popular with Guineans. Passing the torch to the next generation is the struggle of these craftsmen at a time when this profession is becoming a driver of growth and the future in the country. A report by our correspondent Sayon Kourma. In Guinea, the concept of producing and consuming made in Guinea is not just fashionable but thriving. At the origin of this cultural revolution, weavers. They are the ones who create these fabrics made in Guinea today, worn with pride by Guineans everywhere. Fashionable, these loincloths made by local craftsmen are highly coveted.
Our grandparents started wearing this even before colonization, so it means we were already civilized when the settlers arrived. Yeah, we had hats, but also had shirts. It is the pride of Africa.
Back to basics, tradition has now become the business of local artisans like Mamadou Pepe here in Labé. In his weaver's workshop, Mamadou Diallo earns a living thanks to this business, a profession that his family has been guarding preciously in Guinea for centuries.
In Africa, everyone has to cling to their tradition, and that's what we do here. It is not globalization that will make us lose our ancestral values. There are factories in Europe, but these Westerners come to us to buy our loincloths because it's traditional and authentic. Otherwise, everyone can create their factory. But we want to keep this authenticity and tradition, and it is important to pass this on to our children, and that's what I'm doing here.
Thanks to this activity, the Diallo today accumulate a monthly turnover of 7 million Guinean francs, twice the net monthly salary of a minister's advisor in Guinea. This is why for centuries this profession is transmitted here from fathers to sons. For this family, there's no question of abandoning this business, which has now become a gold mine, hence initiating children from an early age.
Make sure it fits snug. I started weaving in 1979. I taught a lot of people, and I don't want to die without my children being able to do it, because that's what we do. If I die without teaching them to do it properly, then it means that I haven't accomplished my mission in life. It has to be a perpetual tradition. They too will teach it to their children. And as soon as you dress in lepi, everyone knows that you come from Futa or Guinea. Knowing where you come from is important.
With extraordinary skill, father and son assemble day and night these colorful threads to make magnificent fabrics. Mamadou even proclaims himself defender of Guinean culture.
I can teach whoever wants to learn so that the tradition doesn't disappear. We recognize a Fulani by its textiles, the lepi and the Angara. Everywhere in the world, as soon as you wear them, we know directly that you come from Guinea. Futa Jalan, more precisely.
Faced with globalization, these weavers innovate by regularly upgrading their creations. Their work and their passion, they talk about it with love. The profession thanks to which these children even ensure their schooling. Ibrahim and Alpha Umar now alternate between school and the practice of weaving.
My father taught me 9 years ago. The apprenticeship lasted 3 years, and since then I have been working for myself. I make a living from this job. It's a good business. After school, if I don't find a job, I know that here we can make a living.
The great master Boubacar Diallo retired years ago. For him, this activity is the best job in the world. And it's not globalization that will deprive them of their passion.
These children go to school and work as a weaver at the same time. We don't want this profession to disappear. We don't want to wait for what comes from elsewhere. And besides, many leave the West to come and buy it. Our children can go to school and weave at the same time. These children may not be successful in school, but here they will always learn something.
And to support these craftsmen in their fight to safeguard Guinean cultural values, a local production fair was recently initiated in Conakry, the Guinean capital. The approach aims to promote the work of artisans in the country in this context of globalization. Right after the local production fair, Mamadou had the opportunity for the first time to exhibit these crafts at the first edition of the regional fair of La Baye, third city of the country. Another event that allowed these weavers and their colleagues to significantly increase their turnover. Africa has seen a sharp decline in cyber attack activities against mobile devices last year, according to the report by IT security firm Kaspersky. Only Angola saw a 12% growth in cyber attacks. The improvement was particularly strong in Nigeria, Ghana, and Ethiopia. This is progress, but it also indicates that criminals are now focusing their attention on much more complex malware that target the theft of users' banking data through seemingly legitimate applications, a trend to watch closely. And precisely this week as we speak, the first cybersecurity summit dedicated to the African continent is being held in Lomé. The event, under the aegis of the Togolese government and the United Nations, aims to assess the state of cybersecurity in Africa and to explore ways of cooperation between states and private actors. Many personalities are expected in Lomé to participate in this summit. It should be recalled that several states, such as Benin and Togo, have adopted a legal arsenal in favor of data protection and have set up specialized agencies. Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, these three countries are leading a new movement centered around no-code technology for building mobile apps. These applications, accessible within smartphone reach, are usually very expensive to develop. But the so-called low-code or no-code technology makes it possible to save these prohibitive development costs by creating applications without coding, or almost. Our journalist Edwin Kariuki visited some of the inventors of these solutions of tomorrow in Nairobi.
Maureen Esther Achieng is wading through uncharted waters and creating a path that she believes will be beneficial to the next generation of techies. In her Nairobi apartment, she begins her day at midday, a day spent teaching students from all over the globe how to code easily.
Only 0.3% of the world's population can create software. That leaves 99.7% of the world's potential going to waste. And that is why no-code is so huge, because no-code is now empowering non-tech people to be able to participate in tech.
She is emerging as an authority in this field that she stumbled upon in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now she spends her days teaching other young people the art of creating apps using low or no code at all.
Like you would tell someone I build apps without coding, and they will look at you like, how do you do that? I still get such reactions, but the more we talk about it, the more I talk about apps that have been built without code, like Richard, Duelito, Yadguru, Studio Time, Will Price. All these are global app businesses that have been launched without code, Revitize, New Notions, all these. So the more I talk about that, the more people understand that actually this can be done without writing a single line of code.
The no-code movement, as she calls it, is relatively new here in Kenya. Only a handful of students have shown interest in learning the ropes of creating mobile applications. Andrew Kisilu is one such man.
So what I seek to do is solve common people's problems with an aim of bettering their lives and bettering our lives altogether.
Andrew isn't your traditional techie. He is more at home on the football pitch where he plays soccer. But the COVID-19 pandemic closed the pitch and saw him hang up his boots, albeit begrudgingly. To while away the time, he joined Maureen's class. He says the technology is helping him stay away from mischief while offering solutions to many like him.
I actually ventured into no coding during the period when Corona hit. Okay, so we were locked down in our houses. We didn't have anything to do, and me being a major part of my day being taken by football, I was unable to go on with my day-to-day activities. So I had a lot of time on my hands, and what happened is, through a friend of mine, I got to learn about the no-code movement.
Andrew, just like his mentor and trainer, believes that Kenya and Africa are ripe for the no-code revolution. The ability to create mobile apps that offer solutions to local problems is being touted as a game changer in the way small businesses operate.
I have seen people digitize their knowledge in so many ways, but just building apps, educational apps, social apps, business apps, using no-code. So we have to get away from this mindset of how is it going to put food on my table.
I've seen how much we struggle with connecting with top professional coaches. What happened is I felt the urge to tap into this problem we have. If I can be able to offer a kid somewhere an opportunity to connect with a top coach because they are actually talented, and also help the coaches because they are actually pretty committed with their day-to-day activities. So if I'm able to bridge that gap, bring the player to the coach, and have the coach look at the player without actually taking them or derailing them away from their day-to-day activity.
The disruption caused by the uptake of this type of coding has been met with skepticism and outright rejection by the more traditional coders. Maureen believes there's enough room for both to coexist.
The people who are creating these no-code tools are software developers, yeah? So the smart software developers are already creating these tools to empower non-tech people, while others are thinking, oh, you're now taking my job, oh, you're not as competent as I am. It shouldn't be that way. Of course, there's been a lot of backlash, but it's out of lack of knowledge, yeah? And there shouldn't be a war between non-tech and tech people.
Techpreneurs equipped with these coding skills like Andrew are not only offering solutions, but are also finding a way to earn and